Hi guys, my name is Spencer. Welcome to Sphinx Reads, and today I will be reviewing Wonderstruck by Brian Selznick. If you aren't familiar with Brian Selznick, I believe he is more known as an illustrator, but another one of his works is The Invention of Hugo Cabret. Actually, you know what? Let me just get this. Okay, so he wrote The Invention of Hugo Cabret, as well as Wonderstruck, and there's another one that he wrote, The Marvels, which I don't have yet. But basically the format of these books are that they are in words and pictures. It's not just like an illustrated book, it's almost like 50-50 like words and pictures, if that makes sense. For example, there's like illustrations, and you like keep flipping the pages to see what's going on. And then at certain parts there will be little breaks where there will be written words on the page. So yeah, this is Wonderstruck. So Wonderstruck is about two main characters. We follow a girl named Rose, and her story is told in pictures. We also follow another main character named Ben, whose story takes 50 years from Rose's story, and his story is told in words instead of pictures. And you see these two storylines side by side until they kind of meet up and converge at the end. And you see how these stories are connected. But from Rose's perspective, we find out early on that she is deaf. She's living with her father, who doesn't really let her out of the house. She escapes often to go into New York City. She seems to have this obsession over this really popular actress, and she collects like little mementos, like little clippings from the newspaper to include in like a really private scrapbook that she made, where she pretty much has followed this entire actress's life. On the other hand, Ben is currently living with his aunt and uncle near a lake. He's just trying to come to terms with the recent death of his mother. At the beginning of the story, he is deaf in one ear. Basically, the story that we follow with him is basically he discovers a little note with an address that could possibly lead him to his father, whom he has never met. I really enjoyed this story. Just like The Invention of Hugo Cabret, it was really heartwarming. Brian Selznick's writing was just really fantastic. I loved how immersive it was. Like right from the beginning, I was immediately hooked into this story and wanted to know more about both of these characters. So if you're looking for a really cozy read, I would definitely recommend Wonderstruck, as well as The Invention of Hugo Cabret. Two things that I didn't really like too much about this story is, one, there is a little bit of an info dump towards the end where we kind of finally understand how these two storylines are connected. And it was a little weird because pretty much for most of the book, we have a few pages of illustrations following Rose's story, and then a few pages of written words following Ben's story, and then towards the end there's just like a bunch of like written word pages. It didn't bother me too much. I don't think there would have been any better way to do it, since a lot of the explanation could not have been achieved through illustrations alone. The other thing that I didn't really like too much is how jarring it was to shift between the two perspectives, because we'd be following Rose like through illustrations, and then all of a sudden we'd be following Ben. And it got a little confusing at times because I'd be reading Ben's story and then the next page would be an illustration of a totally different storyline. So it got a little confusing, but as the story went on, I kind of got used to it. I rated this book 4.5 out of 5 stars on Storygraph, and I gave it a 5 on Goodreads. I didn't like it as much as The Invention of Hugo Cabret, but it was still really good. The main thing that I appreciated about this book is how Brian Selznick delved into deaf culture and kind of the history of how deaf people were treated in the past. And at the end, he actually has a little kind of explanation on what inspired him to write this story, and it was really cool to see all the references that he made to deaf culture and history. So I really enjoyed that. Those are all of my thoughts on Wonderstruck by Brian Selznick. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please forget to subscribe so you can do it later, and have a great day.